Welcome. You are at the CCC.
Where there are no outside issues. My name's Anthony. I'm an addict and alcoholic, another bozo on the bus, and I care about you.
Yes, and I'm Lewis, and my pronouns are he and him. I'm recovering for crystal meth and alcohol, and I am always in search of balance. And each week we strive to foster a brave
Why are
future
you bumping up and down?
And each week we strive to foster a brave space where we can engage in conversations centered around topics of recovery.
And our intention is to hold and inspire better spaces for more people in recovery by tackling issues sometimes used to separate us.
Yes, but before we do that, please like, share, subscribe.
Tell your friends about us.
Absolutely.
Give us 5 stars.
Only 5 stars.
And if you're going to contact us, listen, only say nice things because I'm having a hard week. I'm not having a hard week. Another disclaimer, the thoughts and opinions expressed on At the CCC are as alone. We do not represent anyone but ourselves. In other words, we're just a couple of friends behind a mic here to entertain you. And of course, everything we talk about is for general information purposes only.
Only.
Da, 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 da.
You know who's not here?
Who's not here?
Jordan.
Didn't notice.
I know. The shade. That bitch went to see Doechii. She sent us a message at the last minute. Oh, yeah, I'm not going to be there because I got tickets a while back and I forgot. And I'm like, you're shady.
Oh, it's not like we don't have a recording schedule.
I know, exactly.
Anyway.
This is what happens when you smoke crack.
Yeah, when you smoke crack.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Jordan, I want you to have a wonderful time.
Yeah, have a wonderful time. So, Duluth, how are you doing?
I'm good. It's you know what? It's holiday season. I work retail, and so it's like we got a little bit of a slump, but things are busy, so I'm good.
Yeah. Listeners, you might have heard this charming, enchanting voice in the background. So we have a couple of guests on today that we're both really excited about.
Guest co-host. It's like
our guest co-host today. One of them is already breathing into the mic.
I'm so sexy. My name is Zoe. Hi. I'm going to put on my real extra cunty voice. Let me see if I can do it while listening. Hi, Trade. Hi. I'm sober for almost 5 years, and it's.
Oh, I love that.
Do you like it? Go ahead,
girl. My name is Becky, and I'm a glamour technician and a drag guru and an Uber trade aficionado.
Okay. Are we saying our profession? Because
I mean, you can say whatever you want to say about yourself.
Oh, really?
Whatever you feel comfortable
I'm
saying.
A property manager, believe it or not.
Are you really?
Yeah, there's not many trannies that do property management. Oh, I'm sorry. Were we going to... What should we call ourselves, Becky?
Oh, you can say whatever you want, girl.
You don't.
Oh my God, I love it. I am not going to be the most irreverent person here today.
Yeah.
Because I usually there's a timer on. I think of less than 8 minutes, and I'm usually talking about sex.
Oh, well, yeah.
Well, and there it is.
All conversation. Go ahead. What were you going to say, Zoe?
No, I was just saying I came prepared for all of the conversation that
I love that. I love you.
Yeah.
You came hosed out in prelude.
I was also thinking about the steps. I was thinking about the traditions. I was
What
thinking
steps
about.
were you thinking about?
I don't know.
You're thinking about the steps you need to take to get to trade.
Step one.
Step
Yeah.
one.
Well, step one is exactly it. Well, that's such a nice little left-hand turn to today's topic. So we're starting our 12-step series. So for the next, I guess, 11 episodes past this one.
Exactly.
Our episodes are going to be themed around the steps. So not the steps specifically, but the themes and the kind of spirit of the steps. So today's topic is called, well, the title is Powerless, Not Hopeless, Surrendering to Win. Ooh. So let's start. So one of the paradoxes of 12-step, especially when we're thinking about powerlessness, is that in order to have power, we have to give up power, right? Right? And so I'm wondering if any of you have stories about what it was like to finally give up the fight. What was it like before you actually were like, fuck this, I'm powerless and everything's unmanageable? Let's think about it. Becky, you have something on your mind.
Well, I was just gonna say, what was it like, girl? I take my will back all the time. So
That's what I was gonna say.
it's people, places, and things. I'm powerless over drugs and alcohol, and I have surrendered to that, and I have not done any research around that because I believe that to my core. But it doesn't change the fact that at my nature, I'm very willful and I have certain idiosyncrasies, and so I will, stand on business or do shady shit or whatever.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You realize in your life you're like, okay, girl, you're doing too much. You need to pull back on this.
Okay, and when you say doing too much, what do you mean? What does doing too much look like?
Well, doing too much would be if you are not getting sleep because you're up all night trying to pull trade off of the fucking Tammy or something.
Right.
Oh, we're bringing up Tammy. Is it Tammy or Tammy? I never know what to call it.
I say Tammy. It's so funny because some of the girls from the game night that we used to have, they used to call it Tammy. And they're like, girl,
that's what it feels like.
We need to get on Tammy. I said, no, that's Tammy, girl. And it's they don't want you, girl. They're into women. Unless you want to shave and throw on a wig.
Okay, and let me tell you, you can do that. You can do that, and the sad, but some of us walk around here being we're thinking we're that girl. We've spent money, I know I have, on trying to embody this for the male gaze. I think every trans girl goes through the male gaze.
Is it just? Can I ask you a question? Is it just the male gaze?
Girl, I do it for me. I love being
No, but I'm saying, is there a part of that all that you do sometimes is for the female gaze as well?
Oh, well, I think for
because go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
No.
I'm trying to get the hang of this. No,
you're
good.
I was all excited.
Well, I'll even throw in another thing in there because we're talking about male gaze, female gaze. Are we assuming there is only two genders? Is that the argument here? Are there?
No. I'm not.
No. I know you're not saying that, but I'm just thinking if we're talking about the gaze, what are the gazes?
Well,
I don't know anything about the other genders. I hold space, but I don't know anything about the other genders. So I only speak to the trans experience, the trans femme cunt experience. But
my thinking was, it's okay, so the two of you stand in your truth, but I think sometimes we even if we say it with our words that we don't care what other people think, that we maybe are doing this so that we fit into something that we don't even need to. We didn't even really want to be a part of. You know what I'm saying? See what I'm getting at? So it's is it? I know what you're saying, and I appreciate the honesty about doing it for the male gaze, but there's more to it because it's you're a woman and you're thinking.
Well, I think that was just what I mean is that in the motivation at the beginning of the situation, you're definitely you want to meet a guy. I mean, I don't know about Becky, but I know that one of the things that was really attractive to me when I was a young tweaker wearing, cross-dressing and all that, it was ooh, I get the straight trade, the ain't nothing better than a straight trade sucking you off, in a skirt. Ooh, so that was at first that's the good little motivation to get you going. But then eventually once you find your way and you realize, that this is what you're comfortable with. This is what I like to wear. These are my colors. And, when you get to that point where you're not thinking about it so much, then,
Yeah, that's so good because what I'm hearing you describe is there's a moment where we're trying to manage everything around us, right? We in this case, we were talking about the male gaze, for example. There's this idea that there's something that we can control. There's something that, right? And when we're thinking about step one or we're thinking about surrender, when things are powerless and unmanageable, there comes a moment where we give that shit up. Right. So for example, when you said you find your colors and you find the things that work for you, there's a surrender in that. There's a freedom. Even when you described that there was a breath in all of that.
Yeah.
There's power when you finally make a decision. You know, when you're stressing about something. Like I was thinking about the struggle I had before I got sober with my job. I wanted to hold on to that job, and there was no way because I was a fucking mess. And so I was constantly coming in, and I'm sure they had heard every possible lie. But when I finally just surrendered and I said, you know what, I'm done. There's nothing. That to me was so empowering,
right?
You know, because it's like I no longer had to come up with any stories. I was just was, and that was amazing,
right? And I think that directly connects to recovery, right? Like when we're thinking about, well, I know like before I got sober, I was trying to control. Well, you know, going back to Becky's point about people, places, and things. Right. So 2 parts, right? Before I got sober, I was trying to control everything around me and I felt fucking crazy, right? I'm like, I need to do this for this job. I have this relationship. I'm doing this. I'm worried about what people think about me. What am I doing? How am I? Well, like I had all these things going on, right? And then when I got sober, there was a kind of letting of that stuff go. But to Becky's earlier point, which is like, I actually have to constantly do that thing. Right. Like every day I have to remind myself that that controlling things is an illusion. We can't control anything. And I have to constantly remind myself of that. Becky, what are you thinking about over there? I can tell your thoughts are
girl. If you spent a moment in between in the space in my head, there's a lot of things I'm thinking about. But when you were talking, I was thinking about like, first of all, when she was talking about like, for her, like doing it for you or feeling your fantasy or whatever. But for me, there's another layer on it because I'm a stylist. I'm known for, being brought in to make sure people look a certain way. My drag has always been like a visual journey. I on stage, I take people through a visual journey. Like, what is it that what feeling or emotion or concept or thought am I wanting to convey?
I've experienced that. It's fabulous.
Oh no, I've seen her drag. Yeah.
Through visual stuff like that. So for me, it's different. And then what ends up happening, like there's a conundrum you come back to because for me, like I live in the Castro, and on Sunday mornings when I don't want to really do a whole lot, but I want coffee or I want this or that, I always have to Uber Eats it because I can't walk down the street in like sweats and my I gotta look put together.
Shout out to Becky for those 50 cents words.
She said conundrum.
Yes. She is an Ivy League tranny.
Yes. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, I was just saying that like, that's I feel you on that. I live where I work. So, and I'm constantly mindful of the fact that like there aren't any trans women that do property management. I mean, I don't meet them. I haven't met a surplus of them. And it's my job to run the building and to keep track of everything if there's an emergency, but I'm always there. I'm always in the building. So even if I want to like just go down to the office and see what's going on with the front desk, I have 24-hour staff. So there's cameras everywhere. It's a supportive housing building for families. So I'm just very mindful of the fact that like a lot of people's impression of the trans experience is a lot of is basically that some of us are sluts and perverts and
or messy. So do you feel like you really need to like hold it together?
Yes.
Look professional.
I feel like it's I feel like it's a very political job for me.
I mean, there's a whole another layer on it because like women in workspaces forever, like it's like they have to look good, like they have to have their hair looking nice. Everything has to be, done, presented
patriarchy
in order to like be taken seriously. I mean, you think about it, like, when they talk about politicians and stuff like that, like when it's a female, they're like talking about their weight, their hair, what they're wearing, and like whether it's good or bad. And like a lot of times, like, literally old white men wearing bad suits and
And nobody
nobody doesn't matter.
I mean, the standard for like going back to like the male gaze again, even though we're saying it's the male gaze and you're saying that you don't do it for that. But at the end of the day, even when we're not conscious of it, we still are doing it for that reason, maybe like it's not a conscious thing, but we're still like expected to, show up in a certain costume, I mean, part of the reason why the Republicans were able to, get into that, but part of the reason why the Republican Party was able to villainize us in such a way was because they were using what we call bricks in our community, and we love the bricks. Okay. We love them. Mm-hmm. But they were able to use some of these people that were going into women's spaces that were not necessarily representing like what, didn't put in the effort that
or didn't have the resources. Yeah.
They go after the low hanging fruit.
Yeah. But so, and I like the direction this is going in.
I know. Okay. I was going to say, it's like
go ahead, Louis.
I was going to say, because it's like when we invited you, like I was thinking we were going to have a conversation, but I really am enjoying where this is going, because sometimes, if you weren't sitting here, we wouldn't have this rich conversation. And I think that there are folks who need to hear this.
Mm.
Yeah, and not you vaping into the mic.
Okay, well,
I know.
So
that's just blowing vape into my face.
So I want to go back to this idea, right? Because what I think you're both illustrating beautifully is that there's this idea of survival and of being comfortable in your own skin. And right. And how much of that is based on whether or not, I'll speak for myself, I'm going out into the world and how am I being judged, right? So like I'm a man of color. I work at a really prestigious institution, and I'm constantly thinking about like, am I going to be discredited if I have my piercings in? Am I going to be discredited?
Wait, you have piercings?
Well, shut up. So like, you know what I mean? Like
other than your nose,
pull your sweats down. Let's
so the point that I'm trying to get at is that what we're talking about, especially in the way that you're both bringing it up, is something that feels very high stakes, right? And I wonder if like people who are listening are thinking, well, yeah, it makes sense to be more controlling in that sense. But I actually see and hear something else here, because what I'm hearing is not that like this transition from going from I'm controlling what people see to I'm embodying what feels good to me. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. And maybe the consequence or the secondary benefit is that maybe that aligns with other people. But one of the things that I like about queer community in general is that there is this embracing of what makes the most sense to us. Mm-hmm. And we go through our own process of like, and we get to a point where we're like, well, fuck everyone else. I'm finding my community. This is what feels right for me. And that feels very different. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And I just think that, it's also important to recognize that we are part of a bubble. We're in San Francisco.
I was really thinking about that.
100%.
And then and then we have the extra layer of the experience of being BIPOC, and I'm Latina, but I'm half Latina, so I'm not really like giving you like beautiful brown, I'm giving you beige, light beige, slight beige with a tan.
Fluorescent beige.
Right. Fluorescent beige. And so then when, so we're talking about these very real things, right? Like what it means to live in our bodies. And so when we're thinking about recovery can become that much more complicated when we have these very real things that are happening, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's the follow-up question to all of this is like, and how has recovery or admitting powerlessness or like seeing that things are unmanageable, how has that changed your experience in recovery and by virtue of that, like your personhood?
I will say for me, like one of the things based on what we're talking about right now is that like, there are all these things that you can do to accomplish like whatever it is that you want people to perceive you as. But at the end of the day, you have to like who you are because if you don't like who you are, it's a losing battle. Mm-hmm. One of the things I love the most about being sober is that like when I go to bed at nighttime, like I don't lay my head on the pillow and spin out about like all the wreckage I've created for other people. I make mistakes, Yes, but it's not to the degree that it was before. I'm not like impacting other people's lives. I'm not creating these big negative ripples. But like we're saying though, like how you're perceived and stuff like that. At the end of the day, like you only do so much. But for somebody who I spent most of my life code switching, it's a hard habit to give up, and sometimes you're doing it, you don't even realize you're doing it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I have what I call an office bitch, and I have a banji bitch, and it just depends on who I'm talking to. And I'm lucky that I have prioritized hiring people of color in my office, nice. So I'm able to be a banji bitch when I need to be behind closed doors. But when the ownership steps in, hi, thank you for calling. How can I help you? I call it AI property management. That's my, my code switching. But another thing that was, popping up for me was, my head. My disease is very much I don't have so much of an issue anymore with, accepting that I'm an alcoholic, accepting I'm an addict. But what I do have an issue of doing, which I have to constantly surrender, is future tripping and predicting the situation before it's happened. For instance, in my building, so the way it works is that we're a third-party vendor. The owner pays us to be in the building, so we're part of a budget. And lately, and it's a nonprofit, shout out to nonprofit, they want to take over the building, and they not only do they want to do services, but now they want to also do property management. And so eventually they've already taken over 4 or 5 of their buildings, and eventually they'll take our building. And so I go into because I used to work for this nonprofit before I went into property management. And so I'll go into future tripping, oh my God, they're not going to want to keep me because I worked for them 5 years ago and I was drunk and I was high and I was all the things. And oh my God, they're going to still think I'm a whore. They still think I got services from them at one point. So they knew I was a whore. Mm-hmm. So, it took me finally getting to a place of just being you know what? If my higher power wants me to experience this change, there's nothing I can do about it. But one thing I can say is that my higher power is never doing anything to me that's not meant to help me grow. In Buddhism, we have this thing called, and yes, I chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, shout out to Tina Turner. The thing about it is one of the greatest philosophies of it is turning poison into medicine, and never begrudging your life, and recognizing that all of your obstacles are basically there to give you a benefit. And so it becomes kind of a game where you're okay, this is going to feel like shit. It's kind of like getting your body done, I got my body done. So, I got I had a lot of weight, and they did a tummy tuck and everything, and it was fucking awful. I mean, it's awful. But the whole time you're thinking, okay, when this is done, I'm going to have flat abs. I'm going to be that bitch. I'm going to be that girl, and you just kind of put yourself through it in order to get to the other end, kind of like with transition. And I feel like in recovery, those are good things to kind of remember when we're talking about surrender, because surrendering is not just, okay, God, take this from me, but it's also remembering and gently reminding yourself that as long as you stay sober today, you don't drink, you don't use, no matter what, you've done what you needed to do for God, because God will get you ready for whatever God has for you. So if I lose this building and they take it and they say, we don't want to keep you, which it feels the opposite. Recently I've been starting to realize oh, wait a minute, I do a really good job. I start fact checking, and I'm there's really nothing they can say right now. So that's that for me.
What is your guys' clientele?
Well, we service mostly SRO buildings, formerly homeless folks. But this building that I'm at is very, very T, because it's the only family building. So I have a upstairs, downstairs penthouse apartment. It's very Barbie. It's very cute. It's very Barbie. And it's the only building in the whole portfolio that we have families and children. So it's not it's not like these SROs, these hotels that they converted. I've done those as well, and I've lived in those, and those are fucking a nightmare. But you know, so it's very cush and it's very like an appetizing little thing. Like someone else would love to have it, because when you're a property manager for kids, hey, trans folks, queer folks, go into property management. Because when you are a property management for a tax credit property, you don't have to pay rent, girl. You get your salary and you don't pay rent. If it weren't for that, I could not get my teeth done, my ass done, my tits done, all the things done.
Right.
So I was going to say, I've talked about this before, like, obviously, we come in and the initial thing was dealing with the drinking, the using, whatever we were doing, and then I let go of that. And then I reached a point where it's like, okay, now I need to address other aspects of my personality. Being a black man, is this affecting me? Being gay, and it's like my recovery didn't open up until I started to address that. Until I said, hey, you know what? Now I need to look at it, and I need to be as honest as I can about how I feel about this. And I think that this has helped me on this road to become this version of myself that I actually really love.
Oh, you were drifting away from the mic.
I wasn't drifting away from the mic. I was drifting away from you.
Right. And I think at the foundation of what we're talking about is there is a moment when we're thinking about recovery, it spreads out throughout like all aspects of our life, right?
Oh God, yeah.
Going back to what Becky was saying at the very top, which was people, places, and things, right? And those people, places, and things can look different for all of us. They can, right? Mm-hmm. Whether you're black, brown, or beige. And I think that did I miss one or what? No, Louis gave me a look.
I went over. I looked. I was going to say fluorescent beige.
Fluorescent beige. So the takeaway remains the same. That like, despite what we can have the foundational things, right? That we are. The bottom line is that when we are away from this idea of surrendering, or when we're stopping trying to manage things, right? And managing things can look a bunch of different ways for a bunch of different people. And one of the messages that I think is very clear in 12-step is that we look for the similarities and not the differences. That being said, I also think that it's important for us to look at the intersectionality of the recovery experience. Right. It would be unfair and inequitable for us to say that a person who belongs to a very marginalized group, or someone who doesn't have all the resources that another person might have, is going to feel like they have the same chances everyone else does to recovery or sobriety. So with that, I want to round off our conversation. So, we've talked about quite a few things, and I'm wondering, with the last few minutes that we have, what's it feel like, or what is the message that we can send out to folks, like whether they have years of experience or years of recovery underneath them, or they have no recovery and they're counting hours, maybe not even counting hours. What's something that we can give them with respect to step one?
I think for myself, what I was thinking when you were talking is that, like, all these things that we're powerless over, it's like when you're, counting days and stuff like that, if you just do the next right action, like they connect each other, and it naturally lays you into the groundwork, and also in the right direction. So, for me, I find that as long as I, keep my house in order and, do take accountability for the things I do.
Becky, what does keep your house in order mean?
Oh, yeah. What does that mean? Yeah. What does that mean?
Keep my house in order.
Make sure your Barbie dolls are.
Well, keep my house in order. Like, first of all, like self-care.
Yeah.
Like, eating, sleeping, personal hygiene, all that other stuff, like taking care of myself so that like the vessel is there. And then, your mood, all of these things, you have, life is very difficult, but what I have gained the most from age and time in the program is perspective and the ability to stop, be still, stand back. You know, if I don't know what the next right action is, I don't have to take any. I can wait. You know, it's not a race, but it's better to, you know, wait than to jump into something and not know. So, you know, for me, like, you know, as long as I'm like taking care of myself and being a good, you know, person in my daily life, or whether it be at work or at meetings, whatever, being a service, not obsessing about like, you know, myself. You know, we talked about like, you know, people, places and things and powerlessness and like the perception that other people have. Well, if I sit there and I spin out like on myself, like how I look or how I feel about myself, that's not going to help build self-esteem or anything like that. It's self-esteem is like built by doing esteemable acts.
That's right. Yeah.
Going out and, you know, being like, you know, a productive, positive member of whatever community you're in, that's what I mean by like keeping your house in order. For me, it's like, you know, taking care of everything, you know, like it's like putting the earthquake kit together. You know, you have all little things so that you're prepared.
Yeah. Zoe, before you go, I wanted to say that so that it's not missed, that when you say pause, right, that is the exact opposite of trying to be controlling, right? And that's one of the best ways of practicing the first step of admitting powerlessness and that things are unmanageable is by pausing, right? So that you give yourself, your body time to catch up. So I really appreciate that. Go ahead, Zoe.
No, I was just thinking about Becky in the sense of every time we've been in a meeting together or whenever we have things, and I've known Becky during different times of my sobriety because she's been around for a long time, since the 80s, you know. She's a veteran. But you're always quiet. You spend a lot of time listening, and you don't add. Usually you're not adding to you're never raising your hand. And I don't think it's because you don't have anything to say. Because when I forced you to share, like when I've chaired meetings that you've been at, you always come with something really, really amazing. But most of the time you are sitting and listening. But in closing, can I answer this?
Yes, please.
Okay. Yeah. I think that for me, the one important thing that I could say that I could relate as a trans person to the rest of the world and how it relates to, you know, sobriety is everyone is in transition. And if you're getting sober right now and you can't envision your life any other way than feeling like shit, just remember that the greatest thing about this stuff is that you get to reinvent yourself. You get to envision how you want to be. If you're fat, bitch, you can go and get yourself fixed. If you want to fix your teeth, you can do that. There are so many vain, wonderful goals you can create for yourself that'll become a possibility if you stay sober. And that alone sometimes is all you need. You just need a little bit of that vanity to get you through. It's not always a spiritual goal. Sometimes it's a financial and physical goal. Sometimes it's, I want that best. I want to look like that bitch. I want to be that bitch. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
that's all. And I love that. I love what you're saying about recreating, right? That is one of the powerful things that come from recovery is that you can recreate, right? You can get your teeth fixed, or you can embrace the way your teeth are now.
Right.
You know what I mean? You can change your body if you want to, or you can learn how to embrace the body that you're in. Yeah. But the takeaway, and I think the gift of recovery, is that you get a choice, where before there wasn't a choice. There's because things were madness. So with that, we're going to start closing up. The Castro Country Club is a safe and sober community center for all people and a refuge for the LGBT recovery community.
We provide programs and services that help change lives by supporting personal growth.
Our vision is to reduce the suffering. Oh, no, Louis, I took your lines. It's funny when I interrupt.
No, it's not funny.
I thought it was. Our vision is to reduce the suffering of addiction by connecting people to community, opportunity, and support.
You can find more information, including all ways to contact us at www.castrocountryclub.org/podcast.
Check out our new episodes every Monday.